Well, Lilith isn't in the Bible. Lilith is, yeah. You believe part of Genesis is set in heaven? Which part do you believe is set in heaven? I'm just curious. Because there are some people that argue that there's two separate creation accounts in the book of Genesis, but yeah. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure about Lilith because everything I know about her, she seems to pop up in like Gnostic literature, and most Gnostic stuff is heretical. So I tend to discount the Lilith stuff, but I don't know enough about Lilith. Eden, and some of it is more of a warning to angels, as is the Book of Enoch, redacted from mainstream biblical references. Well, the thing about the Book of Enoch is all the references to it are still in the Bible, but the thing is it's never quoted in the same way some of the other books are. Like, we never get a "Thus says the Lord" kind of quote of the Book of Enoch and the rest of the Bible, but it's very clear that it had an effect, especially on the New Testament. We certainly see it referenced quite often in the New Testament. I always read, the way I've always interpreted the Book of Enoch's place in the Bible is that it was respected among the early church fathers. Like, it was a respected book among the early church fathers, but maybe not seen on the same level as the rest of the scriptures. I think one reason why the Book of Enoch maybe has kind of a dubious place among the other scriptures is because, well, like, I just read the Book of the Watchers, and now I'm reading the Book of Parables, and they have very different styles and very different language. And so, a lot of people read that and they're like, oh, well, this book seems to have like 5 different authors. And so it leads some people to have doubts that it was written by one person. And if it wasn't written by one person, like, how can we trust it all put together like that? Because, but in my opinion, that's a bit of an unfair criticism, because there's lots of other books in the Bible where we don't know the exact author, and we have to somewhat speculate on the author and how many authors there may have been. Saying that the Book of Enoch has multiple authors to me isn't necessarily a deal breaker. But what is somewhat of a deal breaker to me is that not all the books that are contained within the Book of Enoch seem to be of equal caliber. So, like, when we get into chapters 90 and above, there seems to be a lot of stuff to me that is just kind of fraudulent. And you'll see why I say it seems somewhat fraudulent as we get way further into the book. My theory, my personal theory on the Book of Enoch is that Enoch really did have a prophecy, and that it was known, but that it was not originally written down at the time when he was on the earth, and that for a long time it was an oral tradition, and that what happened over the years is that oral tradition eventually got written down, but that when it was eventually written down, you had other people adding to it. And so it started out as a true prophecy, but there may have been things added onto it over the years. And that's how we end up with a book that seems like it has 5 different authors. And so, in my opinion, there are actually parts of Enoch that are inspired, that are true prophecy. And then, in my opinion, there are other parts that are likely just kind of almost like fan fiction. And so I think the really interesting thing we have to do as believers is we have to read the Book of Enoch with a fine-tooth comb, and we have to, the Bible has more than 60 authors attributed to, most are unknown. Yeah, the Bible has many different authors. Of course it does. But each book in the Bible is speculated, for the most part, to have one author. So while there may be depending if you're using a Catholic Bible or a Protestant Bible, there's either 66 books or 73. So if you have a Catholic Bible, it has 73 books. If you have a Protestant Bible, it's got 66. But most of those books we know had one author. Like if you read the Gospels, it's very obvious that each one of the Gospels had like one author because they have like very consistent style. If you read the epistles of Paul, like it's very clear that Paul wrote those and that they have like one author. Where it gets kind of speculative is like with the Pentateuch. So like the first 5 books, yeah, I've gotten to translating the direct Greek and Hebrew. The translations are very wrong in their current form. Yeah, I don't know enough about translation to say yes or no to that.